Yes, I can. Okay. Can you hear? Okay. Yes, I can hear you, but yeah.
Raise your hand, your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
All right. The approval of today's agenda was motioned by Brad Waller, seconded by Raymer Flynn. All five approved. Conference with in closed session, conference with labor negotiations. Direction was given. Same for public employee dismissal and discipline as well. Need a motion second for approval of the minutes for the November 10th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
David? Okay,
Aye.
thank you. Hearing 5-0. All right, reports to the board. PAR's presentation, Dennis Yu, will be done online. So Dennis, take it away.
All right, Dennis, I don't think we're picking you up. 1 second. Okay, again, Dennis, give it a try. No, still nothing. Well, I can go through this system. Okay, Dennis, give it a try now.
Okay, good evening.
Yep.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep, we're going to put you through this way.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Yes, good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board. My name again is Dennis Yu, Executive Vice President with PARS. I'm pleased this evening to present information to the board about a potential early retirement incentive for the board's consideration. I do have a short presentation and will be available to answer questions afterwards. By way of background, our company, we've been doing early retirement incentive plans for districts for more than 35 years. We've worked with your district for over the past 15 years, having done quite a few different successful offerings in the past. The latest one being in the 2015-2016 school year. The concept of an early retirement incentive is pretty simple. What you're trying to do is to give a one-time financial incentive to your employees to retire a little bit earlier than they otherwise would have. And what you're trying to do is to try to generate some savings between a senior employee and a lower paid entry-level employee. And the goal is hopefully that salary differential savings can help pay for the cost of the incentive and maybe generate a little bit of additional savings for the district. Usually our goal is to try to triple or quadruple the normal rate of retirement that happens in any given year. And sometimes in some instances, OR plans can be very effective as far as averting layoffs. So back during the Great Recession time period, we did many early retirement plans and were able to avert many layoffs during that era. How a plan actually works is that the district would actually offer a window or open up a window about between 45 to 60 days, and that allows the employee to decide whether or not they want to take advantage of the early retirement plan. So the district, when they do that initial offer, the offer is still done on what's called a contingent basis, meaning that the results of the plan have to be successful in order for the district to allow the plan to go forward. And so employees that do submit their resignation letter during that 45 to 60 day period would be counted at the end of the enrollment period. We basically look to see who actually submitted their resignation letter during that time period, and then another fiscal analysis is performed to determine how many people retired and what the actual savings to the district would actually be. And then based on those results, the district has that ability to decide to either move forward with the plan or rescind the plan. So again, the goal is that the district, by offering this incentive program up front, you're not going to be stuck with a program that doesn't make fiscal sense. You always do have the ability to see what the results are before you move forward with it. And so about 95% of the time that we do plans, they are generally successful. The other 5%, unfortunately, the districts do rescind the program on occasion. So if the plan does proceed as scheduled, all the participants would then resign prior to the end of the school year. And then if the plan, unfortunately, is canceled, then anybody who submitted a resignation letter during that enrollment period, their resignation would actually be rescinded. So there's actually, the plan would actually have these two different benefit offers, one for your certificated non-management group and one for your classified non-management group. The first one is called 85% of final pay incentive for basically the teachers, and then 50% of final pay for the classified non-management. So if you could imagine, if a teacher was earning $100,000, 85% would be $85,000. That would be the amount that the district would contribute. That amount is used to purchase a tax-qualified annuity on behalf of the plan participant. So your district, you're not just handing cash to the employee, you're actually funding a tax-qualified benefit program that offers certain tax-favored advantages for not only the employee, but also for the district. We use an insurance company called Pacific Life Insurance Company to basically guarantee all benefit payments under the program and take on all the mortality risks associated with the retirement program. And just for information, 5 years ago when the last plan was offered, this was the exact same benefit offer that was offered previously. On page 5 of this presentation gives you a little bit of an idea of what each person is looking at. So as I mentioned earlier, you'd be purchasing an annuity for each participant. The participant would then be able to elect from 14 different annuity payout options, so that if they want either a lifetime option, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year payout, they have that option to choose what payment stream makes the most sense for them. So this is just a representative slide of what each employee might be looking at potentially if they were to accept this retirement incentive offer. So for example, option 5 would pay 5 years of monthly payments of about $1,413, again, for a total of 60 months. This is paid in addition to whatever PERS and STIRS benefit the employee is entitled to. So OR plans do nothing to impact PERS or STIRS, but is simply paid in addition to whatever benefits the employee was previously eligible for. And so the next part, we want to get a little bit more into the actual design of the program, who's eligible, what the potential parameters with respect to the replacement of employees are. So with this plan, the teachers, the certificated non-management folks would have to be at least 55 years of age with 5 years of service, or 50 years of age with 30 years of district service. And then on the classified side, they would have to be 50 years of age with 5 years of service. So to qualify for this plan, they would also have to resign from employment no later than June 30th, so anytime between June 11th and June 30th. If employees actually did want to leave the district employment prior to June 11th, they would have the ability to do so, but that would have to be done with the mutual agreement of the district and the employee. With respect to the replacement salaries, so on average, your average retirement age employee is making about $100,000 per year. We are assuming that the replacement teacher who would be hired to replace that employee would earn approximately $73,000. That number was derived from a study that we did based on who the recent new hires of the district have been. So if you could imagine, you have a $100,000 teacher leaving, $73,000 teacher being replaced, or replacing that employee, you're generating about $27,000 worth of salary differential savings. Among the classified side, we're not seeing quite that same dollar level difference. We're seeing maybe about a $7,000 difference. So on average, we see a $36,000 classified employee being replaced by about a $29,000 classified employee. So some of the savings figure will look a little bit different on the classified non-management side. One last thing I also did want to mention is the fact that obviously with STRS and PERS costs increasing over time, that plays an important role as far as helping the district achieve more cost savings, because the concept is that as retirement plan costs increase, you don't want as many highly paid employees at your district. You want those lower paid employees, because that actually also lowers your payments to both CalPERS and CalSTRS as well. Okay, the next part of this presentation, I'm going to get a little bit into the drill into the demographics of how many people are actually eligible for each of the plans. So on the certificated non-management side, we're seeing 58 total employees that actually meet the eligibility requirements. So that's the pool of employees that we're looking at. 24 of these 58 employees are age 60 and above, just to give you a comparison. Average age of about 59. So that puts you pretty much, I would say that it's not a significantly older group, but again, you do have a number of employees, again, who are over the age of 60 at your district. Those would be those that would be most likely to take advantage of this incentive offer. You can see from a scattergram, each of those 59 employees are plotted on this chart, and you can see the bulk of your employees are actually long service employees, a lot of them with more than 20 years of service with your district. Of those 59 or so employees, we are expecting, or we're predicting that about 15 of those employees would actually take advantage of this incentive offer. So while we don't have a crystal ball, this is kind of our best guess based on our statistical averages of how many people we think might take advantage of the plan. So what we've done is run different scenarios with regards to replacement levels. So if you look at what we call the most conservative example, 100% replacement, you have 15 people retire, you replace all 15 positions with those $73,000 replacement employees. Over a 1-year period, we're projecting savings of $85,000, 3 years of $129,000. So you can see in the first 3 years of the plan, your savings are actually increasing. But by years 4 and 5, we are actually seeing a diminishing level of savings back down to $25,000, because by the 4th and 5th year of this plan, those newly hired employees, they're now catching up on the salary schedule. So there's actually less and less savings available for the district. So if, again, 15 folks did take advantage of this plan over a 5-year period, we are still expecting a net savings to the district after paying for the cost of this plan of about $25,000. If we get more than 15 people to participate, we can expect this savings figure to go up. The other thing is that if we get 15 of the higher paid employees at your district, we could also expect this savings figures to go up. So right now, again, this is just based on average figures, but when we actually do the final calculation, the numbers could look a little bit different than what you're seeing here, and the actual numbers will be based on who actually does take advantage of this program. On the classified non-management side, we have quite a few more employees who would be eligible for this incentive, 175 total. Of that, about 61 of those are over the age of 60, so quite a few folks over 60 and above at your district. You can see how they're all plotted age and service-wise. So again, quite a number of people who have 20 plus, even 30 plus years of service with your district. With these classified plans, we don't expect participation levels to be quite as high as we see on the teacher side. here, which we're expecting about 18 of those 175 positions to actually take advantage of this plan. Over a 5-year period, we're actually expecting a net loss to your district of about $112,000. So what you can see here is that potentially if the district doesn't replace every retiring position, so let's say, for example, you drop down to 17, where 17 of the 18 positions are actually replaced, you could see that over a 5-year period, you could have some savings of about $68,000. So our analysis does also incorporate the fact that potentially the district may not replace every retiring position, and that may help with the savings numbers if that is truly the case. Again, we would redo these calculations once we know the actual makeup of those who take this plan. And again, with classified plans, it is pretty common to see a figure that looks negative because the salary differential isn't quite as substantial as what we're seeing on the teacher side. This is the last slide I wanted to cover, and this goes over the proposed timeline of this plan. So later on in this agenda, there is a resolution to authorize the retirement incentive offer. So again, that would be for both the classified non-management and the certificated non-management employees. Again, that doesn't commit the district to going forward with the plan. It just commits the district to doing this exploratory offer. The employees have about 60 days or so up until February 11th to decide whether or not they want to take advantage of this plan. So over the holidays, they'll have information from PARS and be able to contact our offices to determine whether or not they want to take advantage of this program. Also, they have time to meet with their financial advisors, meet with CalSTRS or CalPERS, and they should be armed with enough information to make a decision by the 11th. The evening of February 11th, we will know exactly who wants to take advantage of this plan. We will then recalculate all the savings from the plan. That recalculation will yield us much better figures, much more precise numbers than what you're seeing today. Those numbers will be what the district will make the board will make the final decision to move forward or not. And so we would anticipate that Dr. Keller would bring this back to your board on February 23rd, and you'll be able to have, you'll see the final figures before you make the decision to either approve or rescind that program. And then again, if the program is approved, employees would it would resign most likely between the June 11th to June 30th date, and then the first PARS benefit check would be paid out to the retirees starting on August 1st, 2021. So that wraps up my presentation, and I would be happy to answer whatever questions the board may have.
I guess I have a question here. If just to make it easier, to go with the teacher side of it, if we had a significantly larger number of teachers go with this plan, how does that affect the numbers? Can you hear me, Dennis?
Unfortunately, it's a very garbled, your question. Dr. Keller, can you repeat that question? Because I can hear your voice a lot clearer.
Yeah, Dr. Alpern.
Hi, Dennis. It's Dr. Alpern.
Okay, yes, hi, Dr. Alpern.
The question was, if we have significantly more or any more teachers that choose the plan over the number that you listed, how does that impact potential savings to the district?
Okay. So if we get significantly more teachers, that would bode well for the plan in terms of actual savings for the district. So again, we're estimating about a $27,000 salary differential between the outgoing and incoming teacher, and that is sufficient from our standpoint to pay for the cost of the program in our estimation. And the more teachers you get, the greater the actual savings would actually be. The reverse is actually true on the classified non-management side, where the more you actually achieve, we may actually see a greater cost. So the dynamics are a little bit different simply because of that salary differential that we're seeing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
No, I think, we've been through this a few times already, so, it's not saying it's redundant, but I think speaking for most, I think it's pretty clear out there. I mean, obviously we'll go out, see what it looks like and or potentially.
No more questions for you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, student board member report, Charles Stearman.
All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. So my report is ASB is hosting a fundraiser with Wanna Chill, and this will go from Thursday, December 10th, to this Sunday, December 13th. And we also might be having our own products there as well. The flyer is on Instagram on the Sammy Seahawk ASB account. And I'm also moving forward with the Young Leaders Program, and we'll have my first meeting with them on Thursday of next week. And that's it. So are there any questions?
Hearing none, thank you, Charles.
Okay, thank you so much.
Dr. Keller.
Well, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge we have a new principal at Alta Vista transitioning with Dr. Hillier right now. Her name is Karen Sato, and we're going to have Karen Sato, our new transitioning principal at Alta Vista, say hello and greet the board, and want to make sure you have a face, a name, when you are visiting Alta Vista. So Karen, welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm short. Good afternoon, Board President Sirkin, members of the board, Dr. Keller, and Cabinet. My name is Karen Sato. I've worked in Redondo Beach Unified for over 2 decades, so you could say that Redondo Beach Unified School District is my second home. I've spent the majority of that time as a classroom teacher in grades 1 to 5, and most recently, I worked as the elementary TOSA in Ed Services. I know this is a unique and challenging time in education. However, like I told my staff yesterday, it is also a time of great possibilities. And I am grateful for this opportunity to serve as Alta Vista's principal. Thank you for putting your faith and your trust in me, and I am super excited to start putting action to those possibilities. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you and welcome to Karen. All right, and then just a quick update. Got a couple things to share. Our holiday party, our holiday open house party for staff is drastically different this year in COVID. We're actually going to have 14 separate events for our school sites and our departments, and we're going to incorporate what our teachers do, often a synchronous and asynchronous experience. We're going to have a pre-recorded video that'll be brief and to the point. And then we'll have a live experience where we give away the cash and prizes. And certainly want to thank our vendors. We have, we're anticipating, easily over $15,000 donated this year. We're still assembling dollars right now, but it should be a lot of fun. We're also adding an element. I want to thank Dr. Wesley for really taking a leadership piece there. And really focusing on our pinch of holiday cheer. We're having staff members nominate other staff members who are in, tough times right now in COVID. And so instead of just giving away all the prizes to anybody randomly, if we pull your name and number, we're trying to focus a good portion of our donations on the folks that need it most. And so we have somebody from a special person from each site that we are going to provide a special gift certificate to, and we're handling that very discreetly, as we always do. And certainly want to highlight the work that Project Unified and the team and everybody, PTA and Dr. Alpern, Ed Services, Dr. Wiles, everybody. I'm sure I'm forgetting plenty of people here, but just this is the time of the year I always remind people this is why I love working here. We give. So good for everybody for kicking in. I do want to acknowledge one person here that I think is worthy of an acknowledgement. This plaque was actually made today. Last minute, I want to give Ricardo Gallegos an extra special thanks. But I do want to acknowledge, and I'm going to pass this down to Mr. Sirkin, our board president, because we're going to honor Rebecca Bostrom. Rebecca, come to the. Oh, you're there. Hey, how you doing, Rebecca? Rebecca has been serving the Redondo Beach Unified School District and the Redondo Beach School District for 32 years, and she will be retiring right before winter break. And so we just wanted to honor Rebecca with a special plaque and a thank you from all of us. We all know Rebecca. We all work closely with her, and she is, Ricardo's right and left hand each and every day. So I want to thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for all you've done for me, to the team, for the team, and for the board. So I'll let you take it away, Brad.
So, the Redondo Beach Unified School District Award of Appreciation presented to you, Rebecca, for your 32 years of dedication and service to the students, parents, and staff of the Redondo Beach Unified School District. October 1988 to December 2020. We thank you and wish you all the time.
Oh, thank you so much. Who would ever have known that 3 decades could go so quickly? Sometimes the work was as challenging as some of the issues that we had to deal with, but I will say that the leadership that our school district has been blessed to have over these 30 years and more has been outstanding, and it's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. Our team here has always made me a better employee and a better resident of this community. And it's a pleasure to say that I look forward to fond memories of working with each of you. I've been blessed, and I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. And just wanted to add, whatever it is you celebrate, enjoy your holiday, be safe. Obviously, we are going to be coming back to a sensitive, after vacation, to a sensitive time. And we want to just encourage parents and families to just be as safe and cognizant as you can over winter break to return safely and healthy. So take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Keller. All right, moving on to the hearing section. We have 3 advanced written requests specifically on topics not on the agenda specifically, and then one that's on the topic. Dan, do you want to wait and speak to that one specifically? So we will call you back up separately to it. The first 3 reports to the board would like to speak together as a group. So as best you can, distancing, I would introduce and bring up Dan Elder, Jerome Chang, and Rachel Nemeth. Yeah, you can take your mask off when you come up to the front. And
That's about 20
Rachel's coming upstairs, I believe.
We're just
so-
missing one person.
Yeah, just give her a second, I guess, to come up.
Hello, board, Dr. Keller, Dr. Alpern. My name is Jerome. This is Rachel to my left, Rachel Nemeth, and Dan Elder to my other left over here. The 3 of us would like to announce our candidacy for the 3 available seats coming up in the March 2nd election. The reason why we are running together is because Dan and Rachel have had long-term relationships with many of the current and former board members. And we believe that that should help ensure continuity. But then I don't have that existing relationship, and we believe that there probably will be a need for some level of change. And the first change, we hope, will be placing the first minority on the Board of Education. That's it.
Well, thank you all. Congrats on filing and making the dedication to serve. And we look forward to supporting you in whatever capacity that is. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, all right, so, as we all look forward to We have a bunch of items that I get to read in, and that's what everyone gets to look forward to hearing me read. Let's start off with, it's labeled as public comment 2. Please read this to the board as my public comment, or let me know if you'd like to attend in Zoom. I'm unable to physically be at the boardroom as I stay close to home for essential duties. Dear Dr. Keller and RBUSD board members, I'm writing you today because I'm extremely concerned about the recent surge and exponential rate of infection currently in our country and in our community. I'm asking for flexibility and not putting our wants for return to for our kids and teachers for what would be the responsible thing to do during a pandemic that has killed 250,000 Americans. Kids want social experiences granted, and DL is not ideal, but every single student and teacher is safe and healthy at home. This is most important, should be considered first. In regards to your staff, Dr. Keller, the RBUSD teachers are doing a phenomenal job with the task of an online platform and trying to meet the needs with what they have. I'm a 5th grade teacher at have a 5th grader and a kindergartner at Burney Elementary. We appreciate all the communication and planning as well as the hours of work that has encompassed to get this plan in place. Why disrupt the system and childcare arrangements that have been consistent for most families for the last 3 months? Kinder would come to school a week and then back on break during an alarming surge. I'm not sure why the delay for 3 more weeks would harm them any more than the past 7 months out of the classroom. 3 weeks will fly by and we will hopefully see a flattening curve, fingers crossed. With the surge right now, I would ask you to reconsider a safer time frame, ideally 14 days after the winter break. Would be best to almost safeguard and build a quarantine time to address the family holiday travel. Even though this is not recommended, the reality is that that families are mobile, families are traveling, and teachers, myself, kids in the class are competing in sports tournaments in Arizona, Vegas, Catalina, and kids are traveling to Wyoming, Texas, Florida, Northern California, and even Mexico for the holidays. The information is dizzying because their points of contact are high risk, and our kids and staff will be returning to that germ pool. We do not have funding for testing like RBUSD, and the constant upkeep for PPE is going to be a financial strain as well as challenging for resource location that demands increase. Please allow students to come back after the winter recess in late January. If we come back too fast, infections will happen, cohorts will close schools down, and the inconsistency will take a toll on parents and students. We aren't even fully open for TK2 in my district, and we are already having COVID cases and closure of classes with our high-need students. It makes you shake your head. All this for a return and then please go home. It is not right time. There will be a time to get back to campuses, but with the current state of affairs, it is not right now. The board also needs to broadcast the RBUSD expectation to all families. There is no consequence for bad behavior that is enforceable, but we can hold each other accountable as a community. We must hear it over and over again, and hopefully people will adhere to the expectations of what to do or not to do to protect the school community. If you go back to hybrid, you need to know what is expected of your family and what behaviors are not appropriate. A voluntary quarantine anytime a family goes out of state or country should be well known and broadcast clear before the doors open. If a child is sick or family member is sick, the sibling students must stay home to protect others. The Yolo County Department of Health guidelines is that the board should consider making COVID prevention board policy. I don't think parents truly realize their part in this all. School doors are open, but it's not like pre-COVID times. We must educate them, and the classroom will be very different, and the social gatherings and groups will not be part of our normal day. Although I appreciate that you're trying to reopen to appease parents to be more vocal and put pressure on you all to open now, I ask you to carefully weigh the current situation with the new data considered. Please see the materials I've added below. 2 things to follow. Follow the science to get the numbers low enough that we can contact trace accurately and contain the virus. And let us double down as the vaccine is now in approval process, and by beginning of January could hopefully begin distribution to our most vulnerable. Let's do our part. Let's take the time to do it right. If one child or staff member is ill and takes a turn for the worse, we will feel the after effects sting with words and requests from all the families that we should have slowed down. It's already been this way for many months. We can endure a little longer so there's a safe return for all, and so all open door policy stays open. I thank you all for your time and for your considerations. Best regards and happy holidays to you and your families. Tanya Sanchez. Number 3, Dear RBUSD school board members, I'm writing regarding the return to school for first and second grade and teachers. I believe the increase in COVID-19 cases in Redondo Beach and surrounding communities these past few weeks will continue to rise through December into the holiday vacation in January. January is already infamous for being the height of flu season, and even with COVID looming, I believe the numbers will be even greater. Even with safety precautions in place, it seems an impossible task to keep students, teachers, and their families safe from harm if we return in January. I have an amazing class of second graders determined to have the best year possible. I have students logged into our Zoom room from the houses of family members, hotel rooms, cabins in Big Bear, glamp camping in El Capitan, and even from a tent in Joshua Tree. I applaud these efforts and support parents' decision to travel when they deem necessary. Travel will undoubtedly continue over the winter break for all of our Redondo Beach families as they seek to connect with loved ones and give their children a much-needed rest from technology. Unfortunately, a return to school immediately after vacation may turn the classroom into a petri dish of germs as we navigate our hybrid schedule. Instead, I would like to ask that we move into the hybrid phase of learning in mid-February or March. Since the approval of the K-2 waiver was announced just prior to parent-teacher conferences, many of my classroom parents have shared with me their concerns of returning to campus in January. Although we are all excited the waiver was approved, very few have stated they're completely comfortable sending their children back to school in January. While this is not an ideal school year by any means, parents have shared the remarkable improvements of this year's distance learning as compared to the crisis teaching last spring. Thanks to the cooperation and commitment of my awesome grade level team, I'm proud to tell you that our students are successfully learning core content on pace with our schedule of regular in-person school learning. We put in countless hours each week to ensure the students thrive in their learning and can master second grade standards in this online school environment. For this reasons, I ask that we start a hybrid schedule of learning in February or March. Thank you for considering my comments for the health and well-being of our students, teachers, and families. Sincerely, Layla Herkett, Alta Vista second grade teacher, who's proud to teach in Redondo Beach. Number 4, dear board members, thank you for taking the time to read my letter. I kindly ask you to read this during the meeting on December 8th. I'm a second grade teacher at Alta Vista and love my school and adore my students. I'm very worried about returning to school when COVID-19 has spiraled out of control. Safety measures such as distancing 6 feet and wearing masks are not enough when the classroom is a confined space where we share the air. There's already been coronavirus cases at our schools with student and staff getting infected. Many of us have underlying issues and our elderly loved ones who are home who could never survive this virus. Hospital beds are filling up and the stay-at-home order has been issued. The virus is projected to get worse after the holiday and winter season. How can you expect us to return safely when today LA County has new record highs in cases and hospitalization? During distance learning, I've given my students the absolute best education I've done in my 23 years of teaching. I work day and night and weekends so that I can provide the best teaching and social emotional learning to my students. I can honestly say that my students are happy and fully engaged in distance learning. Our union does not support this TK2 waiver to return to the classroom because we teachers do not support it. Please hear our voice. Students have a choice to return to classrooms, but teachers do not. In addition, many parents have now changed their mind to send their students back to school since the district survey was conducted a month ago before the Southern California stay-at-home, before we had record highs in cases and hospitalization. Please hold off on reopening K through 2 till we can open safely and equitably until this horrible virus is under control. Thank you and please stay safe. Sincerely, Sonia Marsh, second grade teacher, Alta Vista. Number 5, members of the RBUSD Board of Education, Dr. Keller, RBTA, faculty, staff, parents, and students. My name is Jeff Hale. I'm a parent of a 4th grade student at Washington Elementary. The reason my letter is to ask the school board to reconsider opening RBUSD sites until COVID vaccine has been widely distributed, or at the very least until after our upcoming winter break. Since Veterans Day, the day after you voted to open kindergarten classrooms for in-person learning, to my writing this letter, there's been 126,000 plus new cases and 732 deaths in LA County. That's the number of cases and deaths over a course of just 26 days, and that's just beginning to see how Thanksgiving gatherings created the surge of overwhelming cases, new cases a day in this county alone. On December 2nd, Assistant Principal Ms. McMasters, Washington, sent an email informing us that a positive case at the school site. McMasters wrote, "We want to inform you that a student has been tested positive for COVID-19. I feel for this family dealing with the positive result and wish them a speedy recovery, but as this has happened already once, the skyrocketing new cases reported each day, the disturbing and all too real possibilities that it will happen again. You're asking teachers to return to their sites at a time when we see hospitals stretched thin. In LA County and Southern California, hospitals are overwhelmed and ICUs are near capacity. On Monday, November 30th, Governor Newsom said LA could run out of ICU stations by mid-December. This sentiment was echoed on Wednesday, December 2nd, by Christina Galley, LA Department of Health and Human Services, who said the number of ICU beds had dwindled to 122. Ultimately, I'd ask the current Board of Education what are the acceptable losses you're willing to endure of our great staff, students, and communities? How many teachers, students, faculty members, or members of our community are you prepared to subject to sickness, suffering, or death because you voted to open the schools during the worst surge of the pandemic? The answer should be zero, but your brashness you have displayed to allow any in-person instruction suggests that either you have not considered the toll that will have, or simply just don't care. I understand the need to get back to get our kids back in school, but with the numbers we're seeing, doing this now is reckless and irresponsible. According to an Associated article dated November 18th, an estimated near 300 school employees have been killed by the coronavirus in the U.S. since the outbreak took hold. Let's not add that to the list here in Redondo Beach. Please use sound judgment and reconsider opening our school sites too hastily. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Jeff Hale. Number 6, dear members of RBUSD Board of Education, my name is Holly Frame, and I am a teacher at RUHS and a parent of a second grader at Burrell Elementary. I am proud to have a child attending school in the best district in the South Bay and appreciate the endless hours LE's teachers put in to make distance learning a great learning experience. I'm writing today regarding the return of first and second graders in July. I'm aware per the MOU that they will not start before January 6th, just 3 days after the end of winter break. I'm requesting the board please consider holding the return of first and second grade students to at least 10 to 14 days after the end of winter break. I'm aware that many families that are planning to travel and gather with people outside their house over break, increasing the chances of exposure. While it is impossible to control how people choose to spend their holiday breaks, it is possible to plan the safest return possible for our students and teachers. I believe waiting at least 10 to 14 days after break, which aligns with the CDC's recommendation to stay home after travel or contact with an infected person, would help increase safety. I've also added concerns and questions about first and second graders returning in person with the current surge in cases in LA County, so I hope tomorrow's board meeting will address issues related to logistics, timing, and safety. Sincerely, Holly Frame, Science Department Co-Chair, Science Teacher, RUHS. Public comment number 7. Dear members of the RBUSD Board of Education, my name is Melissa Remler, and I am a teacher at Adams Middle School as well as a parent of a second grader at Toledo Elementary. Upon hearing the TK through second grade waiver has been approved by the LA County Department of Health, I have mixed feelings. As both an educator and a parent, I have seen the many challenges that teachers, students, and families are facing during distance learning. I know that my own child would love to see the inside of her teacher's classroom and experience back on a campus that she loves. With that said, I have concerns regarding the possibility of students returning to campus in the middle of a surge when we find our county under new stay-at-home orders. We have yet to fully realize the effect of people gathering over the Thanksgiving holiday and still have Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas in the coming weeks. As the board considers a date for the first and second grade students to return to campus, I urge you to exercise caution and consider waiting a minimum of 2 or 3 weeks after students return from RBUSD winter break. I'm hopeful that making such a decision will help to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Thank you in advance for your time and consideration. Melissa Rumler, I apologize. Public comment number 8. Dear Board President Serkin, members of the board, Dr. Keller, and Principal Winkler. We understand that since November 17th, comment letters below, the LA County Department of Health issued all 8 RBUSD elementary schools, including Jefferson, a waiver, and that the board is scheduled to discuss the waiver and grades returning 1 through 2 to the school date at this meeting on December 8th. We want to reiterate our continued concern regarding returning first graders to campus and request the board's consideration several measures to decide to move forward with return to students to campus in the short term. As an initial matter, we reiterate our concern detailed below with returning students to campus now, in particularly light of a very troubling continued increase in COVID cases in LA County and our own local community, Redondo Beach. Given the LA County Department of Health and California Department of Health expect COVID-19 cases to rise and continue to increase through the holidays, we urge the board to consider postponing a decision on returning first and second graders to after the first of the year. While we understand the regional stay-at-home order, which went into effect on December 6th, it does not prohibit schools from returning students to campus if they have waivers to do so. There's no reason to rush students back to campus while local rates are soaring, indeed at their highest levels ever, and why the district is increasingly experiencing positive cases on its campus, as evidenced by its COVID-19 dashboard. The detriment to students associated with returning to campus followed in short term by mandatory quarantine due to exposure or even a campus shutdown seems to far outweigh the benefit of starting these students back to school now, and it seems logical to postpone a return to campus until our region had a better handle on the current COVID-19 surge. In anticipation that the school board decides to push forward in selecting a return to campus dates for first or second, we request the following. First, please confirm that the changes made to the reopening plan related to the TK through kindergarten were applied to first and second graders return to campus under the waivers. Specifically, please confirm that the students may maintain in the hybrid and 100% distance learning model and continue online synchronous learning with their assigned teachers and with cohorts of classmates if families are not yet comfortable returning to students to classrooms given the current COVID stage. Second, please consider selecting a return to campus date no earlier than January 19th to build into de facto 14-day post-holiday quarantine period. Regardless of state or local mandates, it is inevitable that families will travel during the holiday break. Indeed, the current regional stay-at-home order will expire on December 27th if hospital ICU bed availability decreases significantly during the next 3 weeks, potentially allowing the in-state travel for a full week before learning resumes on January 4th, and as the state DPH currently recommends travelers from out-of-state quarantine for 14 days following entry return to California. We believe it's appropriate to incorporate these recommendations into any campus date to minimize the possible exposure of students and staff on campus. Third, please consider measures to impose accountability on families for any failure to follow current RBUSD and government requirement guidance. As a community, we are collectively experiencing pandemic fatigue, and we all know families who will become more lenient regarding mask and social distance requirements, as well as the state's current guidance regarding quarantining after travel. We urge you to consider imposing consequences upon families who opt not to follow these guidelines, as well as other mandates imposed at the city, county, state, or federal level, and who accordingly jeopardize the health and safety of those students and staff who return on campus. Sports leagues around the South Bay are doing so and refusing to allow children to participate if their families violate these mandates and club protocols. We therefore request that you require families to acknowledge before returning to campus to students to campus is that they fully understand if they violate the established RBUSD safety protocols or any government guidance or requirements regarding COVID-19, their children will be required to return to 100% distance learning for the specified period of time. Fourth, please consider requiring students and staff to provide a negative COVID test result before returning to campus and periodically thereafter. Numerous school districts throughout Southern California and the county are doing so. This both further imposes further accountability upon families and helps ensure the safety of students and staff on campus. Excuse me. Thank you for your time and consideration of the comments and attention to this important issue. It's very truly yours, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 family members on there. Give me 20 seconds so I can get a little water, please. All right, number 9. I would like to express my concern over the reopening on December 14th for TKK students during this COVID surge. My children in the 3rd and 5th grade, and I look forward to when they can return to classroom safely. I applaud RBUSD for doing so well with the students that have returned to school in CDC. I believe we need to return the elementary students, especially TK through 2nd grade, but unfortunately now is the wrong time due to the current COVID surge. Please consider delaying the reopening until when the cases stabilize. Why am I reopening when the city and much of the state are locking down? I'm a physician, and the hospitals are filled up around LA, including our local hospitals. We fear they will become too overwhelmed to care for the community. Cases are rising in each of the beach cities over the last 2 weeks. The mayor, governor, and health department are asking us to stay home and do our part. During the first week back, I imagine it takes a little time for kids to get used to the protocols, and they may not be followed 100%. Opening for just 1 week prior to winter break will bring little mental benefit for the kids nor save jobs, but it will certainly contribute to the crisis in our community. LAUSD has decided to shut down its campuses this Thursday. For the campuses that are partly reopened, I also asked at RBUSD to delay reopening TK2 during this crisis and keep us all safe. Sincerely, Tina, RBUSD parent. This one says, Dear Ms. Flynn, but we all got a copy of this, so I'll just say, Dear board members, as COVID-19 rages throughout the nation, we need to stay strong and protect citizens by keeping school attendance limited and not filling the hospitals. School is a cross-bubble spreading point. This point cannot be overemphasized. Even if you're granted a waiver, it's not okay to bring kids back to school. If we minimize school attendance, the virus can be better contained. So I urge you not to listen to the clamor of parents demanding RBUSD take their kids. Now is precisely not the time. So I urge you not apologize. Hybrid models are going to create another massive disruption to a system that is working for your kids. It is your job to educate the kids, putting teachers and staff at risk with masks and shields, social distancing, disrupting the remote class flows with a new complicated shuffling of students, half online, half in person, will make things worse for kids. Right now, kids see their teachers' faces. They can see them enunciating words and can hear them clearly. They can see them smile or frown, the full gamut, and teachers can see what the students are doing, seeing their faces clearly too. Why press forward with such a painful, contorted solution, especially right now? It makes little sense. Please hold firm. The problem parents are facing is a monkey that should not be on the back of RBUSD. Get this monkey off your back and focus on your kids and staff. Do what's hard and what's right. Thank you, James Saxton. I have 3 more, so we're getting there. Number 11, Dear esteemed RBUSD Board of Education, we are writing as a 2nd grade team of teachers at Burl Heights Elementary. This is the first time in our combined over 70 years of teaching that we are voicing concerns to the board. To say we are concerned is an understatement. We are seasoned educators, but our stress has turned to fear and even panic as we watch the COVID numbers in LA County increase at such a rapid pace. We are all very concerned about returning to school and our students' safety. We are asking you to hear our voices and consider our very real concerns about our students' health, our health, and the health of our families and community before you make any decisions regarding the start date for the returning of our students. First, we would say how much we love teaching and our students. We would, without a doubt, prefer to be in the classroom with our students, as we agree in-person learning is most effective. With that being said, the safety of everyone involved in starting in-person hybrid at this time is just too risky. We know we've been and will continue to strive to give our students exceptional educations, be it in person or virtual. Our students are excelling academically and emotionally right now at home for virtual learning, while most importantly staying healthy and slowing the spread of COVID. You might all be aware of the numbers in LA County right now, and it's hard to argue how disturbing and deeply concerning they are. It is true that the numbers in the beach cities are lower than LA County as a whole, but across LA County, COVID cases are accelerating at rapid pace, even in the beach cities, as reported recently by multiple news sources. With this data, it seems a little contradictory to return to schools with the current, more extreme stay-at-home orders that were just put in place by the health department, LAUSD deciding to close all schools, and many districts putting their hybrid model back on hold. If we do return, we simply request that you wait until the numbers go down. Again, while we all agree in-person is the best and most effective for teaching, we are proud of how we mastered and now excel in distance learning and have peace of mind knowing that we are not putting anyone's health, first and foremost, students in our community, in jeopardy. We are looking at the big picture here, which quite frankly is what we're in the midst of a global pandemic. With family holidays and gatherings such as Thanksgiving being part of the reason for the spike in these numbers, and Christmas right around the corner, it makes much more sense for us to wait and see where the numbers go in the new year before making a decision on the start date. As educators, we have never been in this situation before, yet we strive to excel in the most challenging of circumstances. We can't fathom how the hybrid model will come to be a helpful nor safe manner of teaching at this time. It seems that we are suddenly to do 2 jobs, teaching both students in person and virtually often at the same time, with a lack of prep time, not enough resources, and lacking personnel to maintain it in a sanitary fashion. Classrooms will still be crowded. It cannot be 100% properly sanitized. The hybrid model as it stands is unacceptable to us. No other district in the area has a model such as ours, and we hope our hybrid model will be revised prior to in-person teaching resuming. The parents have given feedback that this model seems overwhelming to them also. During parent conferences, some of us have received informal feedback from parents, and by far an overwhelming majority were not prepared to send their students back to school at this time. We do not believe the district has surveyed the parents lately on their wishes to return to school. Parents have evolving thoughts on this also and deserve a current survey to assess the ever-changing situation accurately. We value our student safety, and we hope the board can demonstrate that you also value the health of your students, community, teachers, administrators, and on-site support staff. Please show us we matter, show us our students and their families matter. Let's follow the stay-at-home order and stop the spread of this terrible illness. We look forward to the day when this pandemic is a thing of the past, but in the meantime, let's get together and support one another, please. We know RBUSD is built on trust and teamwork. Let's trust each other to make the smartest choices possible for both the students and our entire learning community and health by following the stay-at-home order, and for now, continuing our successful virtual learning. We look forward to the future where COVID cases are down, dangers are a thing of the past, and we can safely teach our students in person. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, the second grade team of teachers, Borough Height Elementary School. Public comment 12 from Rolf Curtis. Yeah, I was wondering where her letter was. I was going to go log in myself and get it. So she was actually public. She wrote in first, so we'll read hers and then we'll do the last. Good evening, RBUSD board members. I'm writing to you tonight to ask you please consider pushing back the start date for the K through 2 waiver. 3 weeks ago, RBUSD had 41 new cases of COVID. 2 weeks ago, there were 66. And last week, we had 100 new cases in Redondo Beach. The increase in COVID cases in our area is on the rise, and it's likely going to increase even more with the recent holidays and gathering. I know that I personally have 5 students who are traveling out of state over the Thanksgiving break. I have families that will be traveling out of state and even out of country for the winter break. I don't feel it's safe to have students and teachers return to school for the first few weeks of January following these major holiday breaks. It is my understanding that teachers may only take a leave if they have a qualified sub in place first. I would ask if you make the decision to start right after the holidays that you give teachers the same opportunity you're giving families to not return if they don't feel it's safe at the beginning of January. It is not clear if it will be granted if it will be granted a couple weeks leave if I requested it. I do not feel safe returning at the beginning of January and would like to see how the next month plays out before making a decision. We've already had 1 staff and 1 student member on campus that have tested positive between Halloween and Thanksgiving. Although it's important to have students come back to school, we need to do it in a responsible and safe manner. As a parent of 2 children who attend RBUSD schools, I would choose not to have them return to the classroom right after winter break, even if it was an option. Observing the surge and waiting until February would bring students back to school would be the responsible thing to do. Thank you for taking this into consideration. Kristen Hoyam, second grade teacher, Alta Vista Elementary. Final public comment from Rolf Curtis Stritzenberg. Good afternoon, members of the board, RBUSD staff, and members of the public. It was with great pleasure that I announced my candidacy for the RBUSD Board of Education. Has been accepted and approved by the City of Redondo Beach for our 2021 election. I look forward to a fair and congenial campaign over the next few months. You can reach me at rolfforrbusd@gmail.com to voice your comments and concern. Thank you. To all public comment, thank you for that. We will be discussing it a little later in the meeting. We cannot directly, if it's not agendized, cannot directly respond to individually, but just please know that the board is always looking at the numbers. We are always taking that into consideration, and whatever we decide to do this evening is always fluid and can always be changed. So it's just keeping a path of moving forward. But all right, I'm sure you've all done tired to hear from me, so we'll go to communications. Let's start with RBTA.
Guess it's good evening now. All right, good evening. I'm Monica Joyce. I'm president of RBTA. We are all aware of the surge of COVID-19 cases in our community. Since we returned from Thanksgiving break, there have been staff and students who have tested positive, and who are now in quarantine. It would be unwise to have TKK classes return on-site prior to winter break. We do not want to have students and staff quarantined over the holidays due to their exposure during this 1 week of on-site instruction. In the long run, it's safer for students and staff to remain at home. We have been directed by LA County to remain at home and not go outside of our immediate family circles. RBUSD should follow that directive. Our number one priority has to be the safety of our students and staff. Before grades are directed to return, we need to have the number of cases stabilize. Right now, the number of cases continue to rise each day in the South Bay. As Beach City's Health District has reported to the think tank, the rate of infection is higher now than it has been throughout the pandemic. More people are being tested, but a much higher percentage of them are also testing positive. We ask that the TK2 classes not return on site until the rates in Redondo Beach have stabilized. We don't want to be in a situation where we have to open up and then close schools. That would be counterproductive to our students' education. Students will benefit from a regular daily schedule, and they will not benefit from going into quarantine and then returning on site weeks later. We want to teach our students in person, but we need to be assured that it is safe for them to return. Thank you for your consideration. I wish all of you happy holidays, and may you stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see CSEA, AFT here. Anyone have anything from PTA or RBF? There you go.
I have the RBF update. RBF welcomes Robin Garfield as its new executive director. She has over 25 years of experience in fundraising for nonprofits, including the Redondo Beach Police Foundation, Puttin' On Productions, and United Way, just to name a few. She is part of our Lincoln Elementary family and involved with our PTA. She's eager to get to work raising dollars for our students. The following fall fundraisers are going on: Uncorked Virtual Wine Tasting this Thursday, December 10th, Kensington Senior Living Special Auction, December 16th through the 18th, Flower Duets Holiday Arrangements, Art Academy Art to Grow On. On behalf of the Redondo Beach Education Foundation Board of Trustees, we wish the members of the school board, Dr. Keller, the cabinet, administrators, teachers, staff, IT department, and maintenance operations a peaceful holiday season and an even brighter new year.
Thank you. All right, moving on to consent calendars. Anyone wish to pull anything? Hearing none, unless I hear from the voice on the other side. Can I get a motion second to for 10.1 to 10.5?
Moved. Second.
Thank you. Student advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Hearing 5-0. All right, moving on to action items. 12.1, recommendation to adopt 2020-2021 RBUSD local control funding formula budget overview. Can I get a motion second, please?
Second.
Thank you.
It's me.
Dr. Alpern.
Yes. This budget overview for parents is required to be developed annually. In all other years, it's developed alongside the LCAP, and it's approved in June during the LCAP and budget adoption process. But as all things 2020 have played out, this too has changed. So for this year only, the adoption date for this now coincides with the adoption of the first interim report, which you just completed in your consent section. So this overview for parents has been posted on our district website. It was developed by the Ed Services team in coordination with the Administrative Services Department, and we are recommending your adoption of this item.
Great. Any questions?
Thank you for the efforts.
Yes.
Likewise.
All right, student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, hearing 5-0, we're moving on to 12.2. This is a roll call, so I'm going to call each one of you, Charles as the exception. This is to approve the mid-year issuance of 2020-2021 tax and revenue anticipation notes, otherwise known as TRANS. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Dr. Alpern again.
Okay, so as Brad stated, TRANS, they're short-term tax-exempt instruments that are available to school districts and community colleges to assist us with cash flow. And cash flow is absolutely an issue this year because of deferral of state funds. So we're requesting a mid-year TRANS, which is a borrowing not to exceed $15 million. These notes will be paid back prior to January of 2022. And we have a resolution that we're asking you to adopt along with seeking approval. And I made note, and thank you for sharing, it's a roll call vote.
Any questions from anyone? All right, hearing none. We'll start off with David.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Brad.
Aye.
Raymer.
Aye.
And I as myself, so 5-0. Motion carries. Moving on to 12.3. Award bid for South Bay Adult School Electrical Upgrade Program or Project. Can I get a motion in second, please? Not all at once, please.
Second.
Dr. Alpert.
Yeah, we went out to bid with an RFP for this project. We only had one responsive bidder, but that bidder was responsive. So we are recommending that the board approve this bid for RDM Electric for the South Bay Adult School Electrical Upgrade. It's being funded out of South Bay Adult School funds, just in case anybody was wondering.
We've worked with them before, haven't we?
We have on other projects. Mhm.
And weren't there some things we were trying to do with the South Bay Adult School that we needed this for?
Well, we need the infrastructure in a good position to be able to do any other kind of capital improvement project. So definitely this is the foundational piece. And ultimately their consortium needs to approve any capital outlay expenditure. So they have already done that prior to us putting this on our board agenda.
Any questions? Student advisor vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Cool.
Aye. I think the other one was roll call this week.
Yeah, we're
We're
good.
done with roll call.
Yeah. All good. 12.4, approve participation in the OMNIA Partners for a piggyback contract for Canon Solutions of America for the district-wide contract with Canon Business Solutions as well. Motion and second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kinsey.
Good evening. Tonight we're bringing forward the renewal of our current, of our high school, I'm sorry. We're bringing forward our renewal of our current copier contract, which is our workroom, our high-volume copiers, as well as our front office copiers, our color copiers. Our contract, getting feedback here, sorry. Our contract expired in October of 2020, and we decided to just kind of go on a month-to-month since our lease did expire from the last 5 years. Due to the pandemic, it doesn't look like we'll be able to go out to an RFP process. So pretty much what we've decided to do, Canon reached out to us and said, hey, would you like to renew your contract, reduce the cost of your annual cost of your contract, and renew the lease for 5 years. So we took a look at the numbers, and bottom line is currently our lease on monthly cost is about $16,700 a month, and the new 5-year lease will reduce it about $5,000 in savings, which will bring us down to about $11,266 per month with no volume commitment. In the past, we used to have a volume commitment every single year. Right now, I got that removed due to the pandemic, so reduce a machine. One of the other advantages of sticking with Canon right now with our contract is basically we would just replace the copier machines in the workroom, copier machines in the front office. We wouldn't replace the back-end servers or the back-end document imaging technology that we use for throughout the school district. So when we do our scan to copy, scan to email, All of our documentation at the business office, special ed uses for IEPs, and our document imaging system, we wouldn't be replacing that. So that would just work plug and play. The other advantage is that we don't want our staff in this pandemic to learn another new thing. We've thrown a lot of stuff at our staff this year, our teachers, in regards to technology. We have our new student information system went into effect last year, so we just don't want one more thing for our teachers to learn. We just kind of want to keep it status quo. So we're bringing this forward to renew our Canon contract with newer machines at a reduced savings and a yearly cost savings of about $65,000 a year.
Great. Is there any questions?
Do we have any issues with the fact that we're not going for RFP? I know there's certain size contracts, this is small enough that.
The piggyback's fun.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, I mean, transparently, Derek and I talked about this. The biggest thing is all the other systems that are out there that the district has and the integration, and ultimately what we theoretically could save in a hypothetical RFP. Let's say it's a picking number, $1,000 a month. But if you factor in district staff time, you factor in training, you factor in all that stuff, I don't see that there's enough of a potential opportunity that it makes sense to try to uproot everything that we already have in place. And being that we have Canon printers in the classrooms, we have all that stuff. Me personally, I don't know. I usually want to see what we can do, but I think just in light of it, we're saving money. We're saving what, $300,000 over 5 years. I think it's justifiable, in my opinion. But
No, I like the idea of the fact that there's nothing new to learn, it's all there, what we've been doing. So I think, it does make sense, and we save money.
A couple questions, Derek. Have you done any checking with other districts to see if how we're doing, or because I know it's unique times, and right now, we're using them a lot less than we have.
Current vendors like Torrance, they use Ricoh. Another school district uses Xerox. It varies. The industry is very troubled right now. For instance, the company that has a big X no longer sells direct to government contracts. They're now going through resellers. Ricoh is still going direct. Canon is still going direct, so that's why we deal with Canon directly versus a reseller. The other pieces is that the other manufacturers don't have the document imaging system. They don't have the other piece. It's not one single manufacturer. It's kind of the thing what I like to call the one throat to choke. If there's an issue, that they don't send me to different vendors of saying, oh, it's this person's problem, it's that person's problem, etc. So it is kind of troubling in the copying industry right now because people are not copying as more. The reason why I did get the volume commitment taken off, normal lease copier contracts have a volume commitment of, a couple of million a year. I had that removed right now because in this COVID times, right now we're only talking about bringing back our kinder to second grade, whatever we'll be doing in the future. We don't know if that's going to be in the future or where we're going to be, so I wanted to take off that commitment right now. If the pandemic lasts past May, who knows? It's just all uncertainty out there. So I tried to get as much as we could off the contract of commitment, also just to reduce the price so it saves off the general fund.
So this is a 5-year contract, correct?
Correct.
Do we have an escape clause? Can we move out of that contract if
We do.
conditions change, then we needed to go ahead and try a competitive process again before the 5 years?
There's not like a competitive process where you can say, hey, this vendor is offering something less expensive so we can jump to them after that's kind of like leasing a car after 5 years and saying, no, I found the deal better, I want to give the car back and go somewhere else. We can fund out if there's like an event of a school site closure, like we close a school site. I don't foresee that happening, but there is that clause in that contract, or we have a department that we're no longer going to be servicing that needs that copier. We can fund out of that department by board action.
Okay, and we are saving 65 grand over 5 years?
No, each year.
Each year.
Each year?
Each year. And that cost is, we're saving money off of our lease, but we're also saving money off of what we're not printing. So it's the cost per copy. So the less, if we don't print, we're not paying that cost per copy. That's where that volume commitment comes in.
Okay. All right.
And that includes the toners, the staples, the maintenance of the machine, they come and fix it, a 4-hour response time when the machine breaks, come and fix it,
Okay.
which they've held up their end of the deal for the past 5 years on our lease.
All right. Well, I'm pretty familiar with Omnia. That's a good way to go here, so, yeah, I'm comfortable with this.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Student advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, 5-0. Moving on to 12.5, adopt resolution 2021:R19 to approve entering into the agreement with the PARS to offer supplementary retirement SRP for eligible certificated non-management and classified non-management district employees, like we heard from earlier today. Can I get a motion and second, please?
Second?
Any questions or comments? So my only comment would be is, you know, if it's, makes sense for folks and, you know, the numbers make sense, I think it's definitely worth, at least like anything else, always exploring, and if you will, this is our mini RFP. So,
Well, and, you know, I would want to be sure that they stick with the timeline and come to us in February. I think that it's important that we, as this board, get a chance to look at this, because, you know, we've been through this fire drill a few times, and I wouldn't want this to have to go to a new board, so, yeah, as long as they stick with that timeline, I'm good with it.
We can stick with the timeline.
Yeah. Plus, I think you have to anyway, because if you
Yep.
delayed much beyond that, you wouldn't give
Correct.
everybody an opportunity to do what they want to do.
all right. Since it's payroll related, Charles, I'm going to skip you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. 5-0. Moving on, 12.6, appoint RBUSD Measure Q Citizens Bond Oversight Committee members. Motion and second, please.
Moved. Second.
All right, I'm going to have Dan Elder speak before we have any further comment on it, so.
Thank you, board members and staff. Appreciate your service to your community during this very challenging time for all of us. My name is Dan Elder. I've served as chair for Measure Q Citizens Bond Oversight Committee this is my 4th year now. And the first thing I wanted to do really was to thank the taxpayers in Redondo Beach for approving this. These funds have been vital, particularly as every parent knows right now when they get that Chromebook with that Measure Q sticker on the bottom. That's one of the many things Measure Q is funded. All of our distance learning is funded through a lot of Measure Q. So first of all, thank you to the voters. Of course, thank you to the board and the district for investing as well, but really thanking everyone for investing in our children's future. I think that's fantastic. I also think the Measure Q Bond Committee is really important. Having those oversight capabilities gives trust that the money is being spent correctly and wisely. And having served in this position now, I can say that, yes, it is. And that trust is important because, you know, it has to go both ways. So going with that, I wanted to also say thank you to all the bond committee members who have served before, as well as the future ones. You've got 3 before you tonight, and 2 of them I know actually quite well. I've served with PTA with Heather Willoughby, who was a fantastic PTA president and is continuing to move on and blossom. And I'm going to be serving on school site council at Adams with Janet Barbosa at Adams. So you've got some great candidates before you, and I think that's really important to continue this investment and continue this transparency. And so appreciate, again, your trust, the community's trust, and the continued investment in education. So just wanted to say that. Hope everyone has a happy holidays, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Dan. Dr. Alpern.
Yes, in October, we advertised to the public for open positions on the Bond Oversight Committee. We had a number of resignations for a variety of reasons. People moved out of the area, they no longer had kids in the district, et cetera. And we reviewed the applications. We're recommending 3 very qualified members of the public to be approved tonight. 2 of them Dan referenced here, and there's also a very qualified senior citizen who has been involved in a lot of community oversight projects, and so all 3 of them we think will be great members on the oversight committee. And once they're approved, they'll participate with the 3 ongoing or continuing members who currently serve on the oversight committee.
I actually know Suzanne Ringo through the Citizens Police Academy.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I saw the name, it's like, I think she goes by Susan in my email, but it's got to be the same person. It's not.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. Student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Hearing 5-0. 12.7, Memorandum of Understanding MOU Agreement with Redondo Beach Teachers Association, RBTA. Motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Wesley.
Yeah, this is a reopening MOU with RBTA that reflects revisions that were made, agreed upon revisions. One in particular was a revision that allows students the ability to stay enrolled under the in-person hybrid schedule if they're unable to initially attend due to like health concerns, et cetera. The intent of the language is not for students to stay enrolled and never come back to campus. Schools PLP would be the appropriate model for that family. The staff recommends the approval of the amended MOU, and you can see the changes are underlined.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, 12.8, collective bargaining MOU with California School Employees Association, Chapter 57, CSEA, regarding the effects of the CDC layoff resolution R20-21:17. Motion second, please.
Moved.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Wesley again.
And for the next two action items, whenever we do a layoff or reclassification or anything to do with changing a job description, we have the right to do that, and the union has the right to negotiate the effects of that. So 12.8 is a layoff resolution that outlines the effects of the layoffs that we did at the last board meeting within the CDC, eliminating the 2 positions there. And so staff is recommending the approval of the MOU. It essentially outlines rights that they have to bumping and being on the 39-month rehire list.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 5-0. 12.9, reclassification MOU, agreement with CSEA, Chapter 57, regarding the reclassification of the Accounting Technician CDC to Program Specialist CDC. Motion and second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Wesley again.
At the last board meeting, we approved the new job description for CDC, the Program Specialist CDC, and then we reclassified 2 account technicians into this new position. And so again, CSEA has the right to negotiate the effects of that reclassification. And it essentially states that the salary of those 2 that were reclassified would stay the same under this new job description. So staff is recommending the approval of this reclassification MOU.
Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Hearing 5-0. Thank you, Dr. Wesley. All right, moving on to discussion items. TK through K, vulnerable population, and TK through 2, Hawaii County Department of Health waiver approval start dates.
Great, and I'd like to start it out, and just what we'd like to do is just first remind everybody watching or listening what option 1, the hybrid model, will look like upon return. So I wanted Dr. Wilds to share, just to kind of remind our parents in our community. Thanks, Dr. Wilds.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. One of the things we wanted to make clear to all of our families, every time we look at bringing back another group of students, we want to make sure that we go back and we talk with our families. I'm the parent of an 8th grader, so if you want to talk to me about 5th graders, I'm going to tune you out. So we want to make sure that we're very clear with our families. We're talking about, we want to talk directly to our 1st and 2nd grade families. Thank you. We talk directly to our 1st and 2nd grade families, and we want to talk about these 2 learning options. Learning option 1 is our hybrid in-person model.
In the hybrid in-person model, this is instruction provided by your child's classroom teacher. Students have the option to physically attend school in person 2 or 3 days a week. Remember, we have those alternating Mondays on their assigned cohort day. When we say cohort, we're looking at a stable group of 12 students with no more than 2 supervising adults. As Dr. Wesley spoke earlier, the change in this option, however, includes students whose families really want to remain with their classroom teacher. However, they're not quite ready because of health concerns that might prohibit their return to in-person learning at this time. So they're not ready yet. And so that's kind of a key distinction. On non-campus days, students continue to follow their school day schedule, receiving their instruction from their classroom teacher through a blend of live and pre-recorded instruction, synchronous and asynchronous. As a reminder, these cohorts are stable. So students are assigned to a cohort A, a cohort B, and there is no mixing. Those cohorts have to remain intact. We still continue to have dedicated tutorial blocks, dedicated intervention. We do have required attendance on your in-person and your at-home days. But we want to say to parents, we know that in-person instruction obviously is our number one goal. That is our North Star. So we want to let parents know that while they're at home, we have to give our teachers some grace. If they have students in front of them, they have kids at home, we need to know that kids at home may not have immediate access to their classroom teacher. Learning option 2 has remained entirely unchanged. This is 100% online learning in the school's PLP instructional model. It is 100% virtual. Students are enrolled in the full digital curriculum, and it's very similar to an independent study model where students receive all core instruction through the digital curriculum. They do have daily live meetings for attendance and some social emotional lessons and connections, but the grading and assessments, different from option 1, grading and assessments are done through the online platform. And all at the elementary level for 1st and 2nd grade, then all core classes, English, math, history, social science, and science are done through the online platform. Important to note, transitional kindergarten, as we mentioned, we were talking to TK and K students, but also for 1st and 2nd grade, dual immersion is not available in the 100% online schools PLP.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Weil. And I would just remind parents, especially in this scenario, every school district in the South Bay is looking at their hybrid differently. And so ours is absolutely unique to Redondo Beach Unified. So I just ask our parents to obviously listen to our staff, listen to their site principal and teachers, and they'll explain it if they still are trying to wrap their head around it. And I always remind people, you can also go to our website at www.rbusd.org, where there is just a plethora of information there that can outline this as well. Tonight, I'm just going to bring you 2 recommended dates for opening for TK2. As you know, we applied for the TK2 waiver through the LA County Department of Public Health. We were approved on November 24th for TK, K, 1, and 2 to reopen. And even under this current model in the state or Southern California, we are clearly allowed to reopen under the waiver model. That has not been discontinued. If you have not been approved at this time, that's a different story. We won't go there because that is not us. Then I do want to share with you the dates that I'm going to show to you. And oh, they're up there. Okay. But try not to look at that yet and just hear the kind of the overview, the gestalt here. After discussions with the C19 group, which is the COVID-19 group, which is really all the administrators here at the district office, kind of a separate think tank, if you will, the reopening think tank, and the elementary principals, we are recommending that we push the opening of the in-person instruction hybrid model for TKK to Monday, January 4th. We originally were aligning to the December 14th, the week of December 14th. And so what we're recommending to you is to push it back until after winter break. I think it's the right decision based on all the information we have today. I always say we make the best decision based on the best information we have before us. And this, we would actually start with cohort B, which if you look at the slide, it'll make sense in a moment. And then after talking to the C19 team, the COVID-19 team, receiving input from the principals, we're recommending that we reopen grades 1 and 2 to the hybrid model for January 11th with cohort A. And so it's basically the 4th, 1 week is TK, cohort B. 1 week later, we go cohort A with grades 1 and 2. And this would align our cohorts. So if you're a parent with multiple kids at various grade levels, this would keep them aligned, if you will. And so basically what you have here up on the screen, I want to thank Dr. Toronto for putting this together and everybody providing input. Obviously, today is December 8th. And then what we would do is we would allow parents for grades 1 and 2 to select their option or just double down on their option that they're in. And that's what we're finding. We found, Dr. Wilds can correct me, but with the TK model, we had approximately 3 parents change, from option 1 to option 2 or vice versa. And then, so we'll give parents basically until winter break to confirm their selection. The week of December 14th, each school site will hold a Q&A with the first and second grade staff. We, of course, have winter recess. January 4th, different color noted because that's the one time you really see TKK there. They return to campus under Cohort B. Again, if parents, for whatever reason, feel that their child is not ready or as a family, Dr. Wilds explained, the options before them. January 5th, we would have a Q&A. Some people call it a town hall. We've, always received nuanced information about what to call it. We will have a Q&A with our first and second grade families at 5 p.m. We're going to have a link. You'll be able to submit some questions online. I will be managing that, but we'll share more at a later date. January 7th and 8th, we want to make sure parents of first and second graders understand this will be an async day, also known as asynchronous, meaning you will not see your teacher that day because our teachers need to get ready for the return of in-person instruction, and they need that time and a whole lot more, and our teachers are dedicated, and you can be assured they're going to be putting in a lot more time than just the January 7th and 8th. And then January 11th, Cohort A would return for grades 1 and 2. And these are the recommendations we have before you, and we'd like to hear your thoughts.
As a clarification, on January 11th, it's actually TK through second on Cohort A come back on that day.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, well said. You're right.
Because Cohort A
wouldn't
been there yet.
Great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think from a standpoint of things, I think at this point with all the way the numbers are going, I don't see a scenario where we start before the new year to begin with. The biggest thing for us, and I think, needs to be said, and I'll arrogantly speak for the board, is there's not one person on this board that disagrees that ultimately the numbers are going up, and there's no one person on this board that doesn't take the accountability of our staff and students and everyone into effect when making decisions. I think, me personally, I think the timeline that's outlined here is what we need to continue moving with the caveat and caption of, we'll come back and we'll do a meeting during winter break if need be, if the numbers keep changing or moving. But I think we have to have a date that we strive for and continuing, and I think this is there. I don't think it's lost on anybody sitting back here or sitting within this district office that anybody, wants to put anybody in harm's way. But the reality of the situation is if we continue under the premise of until it's completely safe, I would argue our kids will never return. And what I mean by that is we've had flu, we have other things going around, and the reality is LA County Department of Health, even as they're telling all of us to stay home, are still issuing waivers and still telling people to go back to school. New York City just went back to school. London, when they shut the entire, or when England shut down the entire country, the one thing they kept open was K through 12 and universities. Again, everybody's trying to figure this out. Sweden they didn't shut down anything, and then, Switzerland shut down little regional things. And my point being is everybody's trying to figure this out. And so no matter what happens, and, it would pain me and kill me if somebody got injured, hurt, died as a result of actions that we make. And I say we, but, as my vote on the board, but there really is, I think this team has done a tremendous job in getting us as prepared as we're going to be. Short of everybody being in a theoretical bubble, walking around, the numbers, at least for TK through 2, just don't show that it isn't safe for kids to go back. But most importantly, and a thank you to Dr. Wesley and to RBTA's leadership, by allowing parents to keep their kids home, if they choose to, or ultimately otherwise, they still continue to see their teacher's face, albeit with a mask on if this returns. But, allows the kids to start getting their lives back to some sense of normalcy. So, from my end of it is I continue to agree with the concept of continuing to move forward, and respect the fact that not everyone's going to agree, but frankly, that's, no matter what happens, that's not going to happen. So, anyway, from my end, I don't see any issues with this timeline, with the caveat of which, and speaking for myself, but I'm happy to call three meetings over the holidays, and and we will meet again either in person or on Zoom if the numbers warrant that we need to have the discussion, and and in conjunction with all the stakeholders to figure out what makes the most sense. But none of us have a crystal ball, so I don't think trying to plan for the absolute worst at this point is where we need to be. I think we need to assume that this lockdown will help, and that we'll get there. There will be parents that will travel. That is a given. And at the risk of responding to a specific comment, we can't mandate parents do anything. We can't tell them they can't send their kids to school because of it, as far as I'm legally aware. We can encourage, we can suggest, we can do what have you. But the reality is our decision, if that's the board's decision to kick it to start till January, we will probably have staff that will be visiting family as well over the holidays. And I think that's part of a consideration, is allowing them that opportunity because they have not returned to class with students. But there's no way you're going to get everybody to just say, I'm locking up. I mean, I can tell you, I've been on the freeways doing necessity work, and I had to go out for a job out in Riverside, and it took me 4.5 hours to get out there. So no one's staying, and this was after the stay-at-home order. So I think there's a lot of fatigue out there with it, and I don't know how we resolve it. But as a district, I think we have to continue to put best foot forward. And my last comment would be I know the teachers are doing a bang-up job. This isn't a question. I have a high schooler, and he is terribly struggling. And it's not because of lack of instruction. It's not because the teachers aren't trying. It's just 8-9 months at home it's finally taking its toll. And, and I say finally, it's progressive. So, this is nothing, whatever decision the board decides is not reflective of that we have any lack of faith in our staff. It's merely an acceptance that life is going to continue to move, and we have to do it, and we have to do something, and these dates are fluid. But anyways, that's my comment to that. So
I'm happy to see the delay as well. It was the right decision when we made it in November, and when I saw the numbers going up the last couple of weeks, I got concerned and thought maybe December's a little bit too soon. So I'm happy with that. Setting the date is like choosing when to buy your computers. There's always going to be another one 2 weeks later. It's going to be, oh, I could have bought that one.
Yeah.
So you got to choose at some point. And so I'm confident that we will either go with that date or see different data and change our minds. But, you got to pick a date, and I'm happy with that date, looking at that today, what I know today.
Well, and I think that postponing is the right thing to do. I mean, it's not only that it feels right to do it, but I think the science is there to say that it just is a wise thing to do all the way around, so I'm glad to see that. I'm also glad to have a date. I think it's important we put the date out there, because whether there continues to be debate, and I know that our communities are, whether we're in the parent community or the teacher staff community, have a lot of different views on this. I'm going to choose the view myself that's really backed up by the science. I think it's important to put a date out there so that people can do the planning around that date. And then I think, as has been mentioned by the other board members, I'm glad to meet, and I'll be watching very, very closely what the situation looks like as we get closer to the end of the calendar year. And if we need to revisit those dates, we certainly can do that. But I think it's important we have something out there to start planning. Because one of the real challenges that I've seen both personally in my family and professionally through this pandemic is the uncertainty. And we're trying to interject a little bit more certainty or a little bit of planning the best we can in this whole process. So, yeah, I'm supportive of this, keeping our eyes open. I think we've gotten really good at pivoting when we need to. We'll continue to do that. And listening to everybody, be sure we understand that all these feelings are valid, all these views need to be listened to, and going forward on that basis.
I am also glad that we decided to start this, to delay our start. From the start, we've always been committed to the safety and well-being of our staff and our students. But getting back to in-person learning, and that's been the real challenge in all of this, is how do we balance it? And we have followed the science every bit up to this point, and we're still doing that. And I think I echo Mike's sentiment that having a date for planning to show that that's happening, but also know that we're going to be watching the numbers as well. So of course we're available. Nobody's traveling here. I would say that to our community, we have an obligation to do what's being asked of us now and throughout this so that we can get our children back to school. We need to make sure that we know it's tiring, but that we're following those best rules, because if we work collectively, we can get our kids back to school. We can't have everything and get our kids back to school in a kind of manageable way, and that's what I know is so frustrating. And I do hope that because we have a system that allows people to follow the rules and quarantine if they need to, and still be able to be in distance learning, that's going to allow us people to follow the science and the rules that are put out by the state. Because we are limited by what we can do as a school district, but we can certainly encourage people to please follow those rules. And as a district, we're still following the science, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of our teachers who have to make plans and are nervous about all of this. We're all nervous about this too, our parents, but we all are in this together. I'm going to work for the best interests of making sure. Mike and I have been on the RTT committee, the planning that's gone into place with the classrooms and whatnot, and I'm glad to see all the families will be talked to again in the next few weeks to see where they fall.
I would just reiterate what I said last board meeting, which is that there's no group of people that I would trust more to send my child and teachers that I care personally for back to in-person learning than the RBUSD administration and the principals. So that's point one. Point two is that just observing my own kids, as hard as they are trying and as hard as their teachers are trying, this distance learning is very corrosive in terms of their motivation to learn. I can see it, and it's not getting better. So, you know, I understand the reason for the delay in December, but the longer that we keep kids out of school, the less engaged they're going to be. Like that one thing has become clear to me over the last 9 months. So I have nothing else besides those 2 points. And besides, we're also flexible. You know, if something goes wrong in January when we try to come back, you know, we can always reverse the decision. Someone, you know, may have gotten COVID, multiple people may have gotten COVID, but you're always taking risks in life, and we're taking big risks with our kids by keeping them out of the classroom right now. So that's it for me.
Okay. Dr. Heller, you have your
marching
orders, if you will.
Yeah, and let me tell you what will happen if we're in agreement. I think we are. Tomorrow, a letter will go home to staff. Tomorrow morning, we'll go home to staff and to parents, obviously, targeted at this population. And we'll do also we have a strong information going out from the school sites themselves, the 8 elementary school sites, and then my team and I will be meeting with the elementary principals tomorrow morning to kind of share this pivot.
Thank you. All right, any correspondence anyone wishes to share? I have an open mind, but if there's something I will share.
Holiday card and calendar.
Okay, so I'm sharing that.
Or at least most of it.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah, someone got hungry and ate a little bit. All right, let's do board member reports. We'll start with Mr. Whitkin.
No report.
Thank you. Mr. Waller.
I have no report.
Mr. Christensen.
Just a quick thing on SoCal Rock. We have a board meeting next week on the 17th. At that board meeting, we've got quite a number of the board members that are going to cycle out because of their election cycles. So we're going to be seeing some new faces. One thing that I wanted to let our board know is that the SCROC board will be considering going ahead and filling both at-large members, because one of the at-large members is also cycling out. So that's one of the things that the SoCal Rock board will be considering, is whether or not to move forward with filling both at-large. And there are a couple, there's no shortage of former board members that would like to continue to serve on the SoCal Rock board. So just as a heads up on that, there is, I think, as has been communicated among us from our superintendent, there's going to be a discussion later this week among the superintendents on some other options on SoCal Rock. So we'll maybe when we meet in January, we'll have some good stuff to talk about there. And we'll certainly be able to communicate on that at our SoCal Rock board meeting on the 17th as to what might have come from that, so we could release that information. Otherwise, that's about it.
In your opinion, is there any, with knowing that the three of us won't be here in a little over 3 months, is there any, is this a transition point or something we need to think about from a standpoint of just appointing from a board member since they're all transitioning now? I mean, ideally, I'd like you to stay from a continuity perspective, meaning everybody knows. I mean, you'll be one of the senior members, if you will. So on that end, it makes sense for you to continue. I'm just asking out loud as far as a timeline.
Well, I'm planning on continuing with the SoCal Rock board until my term here at
Right.
Understood.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out when you would think it'd be appropriate for either David or Raymer to conceptually start attending at least, so that we have some continuity once that transition.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid question. President Serkin will get a little bit of thought. Certainly, anywhere between about February after the January meeting, which will be a kind of a reorganizational meeting. Then the situation and the alignments within that group will become more clear, along with whatever discussions are being performed this month. So probably not be a bad idea to look at that transition late winter.
So, and then the other question would be, and I'm just spitfiring because I heard you say it. I mean, is this something you want to continue past April? I mean, obviously with the next boards.
Yeah, we'll have to give that some thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there as an idea. So, but okay, fair enough. Ms. Flynn.
I just can't forgive me. I don't know if I've mentioned that we've done the new website and an open board meeting yet, but we did some reorg with RBUSD.org with the COVID information, the new reopening plan that Dr. Wilds shared. There is a way for parents to ask questions on that website as well, which is something that's new. I'm sure everybody knows how to reach us and also through that website. And I wish everybody a very safe and happy holidays.
So, I agree. Same. That was basically we to sound redundant from earlier. We are paying attention. We do see where it is. We want everyone to be safe. There's no way I'd put my own kid in something I wouldn't recommend for anybody else. And likewise, I wouldn't ask staff to go back if I wouldn't be in the classroom teaching myself. So, at least from my perspective, and I believe, and I know I speak for everybody here, that's how we feel. But I wish the staff and everyone a peaceful holiday, and, as best as one can share. And hope the numbers get better, and hope that we're able to continue and stick to that timeline for our return. So, calendar of events, not much other than winter break starts on December 21st. We return back on January 4th. The board, unless we call a special meeting, will return here back on January 12th. And the day before, January 11th, is a holiday for Martin Luther King's Day. Any future agenda item requests? Hearing none, can I get a motion and second for adjournment, please?
Move. Second.
Student advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned. Have a good night.